Alright, so we've been going over slope and y-intercept and graphs and tables and equations. And some of this that we're going to be doing today is stuff combined with 6th and 7th grade math and adding 8th grade to it. So I've sent this to you, but if you don't have this, I'm not taking this up for a grade. So what I would encourage you to do is to do it on your graph paper and so forth. Okay, so if we look at this one, we are given the graph. So from there, we're going to see if we can find our slope. So to find the slope from a graph, we're going to do rise over run. So I'm going to pick 2 points, any 2 points. We learned this yesterday. I'm going to see how much it rose. 1, 2, 3. So a rise of 3 and a run of 1. So my slope is 3. Now it is a positive graph. It's going up, so my slope's going to be positive. For my y-intercept, I'm going to get that from my y-axis. And it crosses at -3, so my y-intercept is -3. Alright, so now for my table. So when x is -2, y was -9. When x was -1, y was -6. When x is 0, y was -3. I also can see my y-intercept there. When x is 1, y is 0. And when x is 2, y is 3. I can see my slope in this also, because remember my slope can also mean my change in y over my change in x. And so my changes in y here are +3. And my changes in x are +1. So change in y was 3, change in x is 1, which still gives me that slope of 3. And I can see my y-intercept is across from that -3. So hopefully that helps you see how all three of these things come together. So now I'm going to go to my equation. So a linear equation is y equals mx plus b. And this m is my slope, and this b is my y-intercept. So I'm going to keep the y, I'm going to keep the equals. My slope was 3. I keep the x, keep the plus, and my y-intercept was -3. So there is my equation. That would be if we were going from a graph. Okay, so find my slope, rise over run, find my y-intercept where it crosses. Look at my graph to find my table. Use that slope and that y-intercept to plug it into my equation. So now let's look at the second one. This time I gave you the equation. So I'm going to go back to remembering that y equals mx plus b, where this is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. So my slope is 1/2. My y-intercept is -2. Okay, now for my table, I'm going to plug each of these points in. This is one way to do it. I'll show you another way. So we're not going to work each of these out by hand, but in class we'll be using a calculator for it. So I have y equals 1/2 x minus 2. So I'm going to plug in an x of -2. So y equals 1/2, but my x I'm going to replace with a -2. Minus 2. So half of -2 is -1 minus 2 is -3. Okay, plug it in again. Y equals 1/2. Now my x is -1 minus 2. I'm getting that 1/2 from my equation. I'm getting that -2 from my equation. I'm just replacing that x. Oops, sorry. Half of -1 is -0.5 minus 2, which is -1.5. Oh, not negative 1.5. Sorry, negative 2.5. All right. My 0 is my y-intercept, so that's easy. I don't have to work it. It's negative 2. And some of you might automatically see this pattern here going down by 50 cents each time. So this will be a negative $1.50. Then it'll be a negative $1. But you are welcome to keep plugging in and solving. From here, remember my y-intercept is negative 2. So something I saw that I really thought was really cool is y equals mx plus b. Think of m as how we're going to move, and b is where we're going to begin. I'm so sorry. I'm coughing like crazy and I don't have a drink today, so. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to begin at my negative 2. So I'm going to go to y, where my negative 2 is. That's my y-intercept. And remember, I'm going to move. So that 1/2, remember, tells me to rise and run. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 2. So rise 1, run 1, 2. 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 And keep going. You can go to the reverse of it. So if I look at this in reverse, I'm going down 1 and left 2. So down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And then, that's a pretty good line. I could have also plotted these points. So I could have gone to negative 2, 3. I could have gone to negative 1, 2.5, 0, negative 2. Plot the points, but we like to kind of stick to going from here. All right. Let's look at a table. All right. Oh, I didn't put slope and y-intercept on this one. All right. So y-intercept is easy for us. It's across from 0, which is going to be 5. And just to make connections all the way around, that y-intercept then tells me I'm going to start on my y-axis at the number 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5. And for my equation, remember y equals mx plus b, where that b is my y-intercept, I'm going to have plus 5 for that b. So just so you see the connection of all three of these, crosses at the 5, y-intercept is 5, 0, 5, I can also see that's the 0.05, and it's going to be my plus 5 in my equation. For my slope, remember I'm going to look in my change in y over my change in x. So change in y is minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. So my change in y is a negative 2. My change in x is a plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. Negative 2 divided by 1 is negative 2. Remember that this negative 2 over 1 also means rise over run. So from this point, I'm going to rise. Remember, rising a negative 2 means going down 2 and over 1. Down 2, over 1. Down 2, over 1. I like to put quite a few dots on my graph. Traditionally, we put at least 3 or 5, 3, 4, 5. But I draw straighter lines when I have those lines to go through. Notice, in slope, it was just a negative 2, so I had to stick it over 1 to have that run. And remember, my m is my slope, so negative 2x. And a lot of people forget to put that x there. The y and the equals and the x and the plus are not going to change. Just that m and that b are going to be replaced. Hopefully you're seeing how they all connect together. All right, let's flip to the back side. Okay, I was given the equation this time. So this, let's change this one since it matches the same exact problem I just did. Let's do 4x minus 2. Sorry about that. Didn't pay attention. Oh, goodness. So, 4 is my slope. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it over 1 down here. So when I do my rise and run, I know that. I can stick any number over 1. But when I look at my slope on the graph, I need a fraction so that I have that rise and that run factor. My y-intercept is -2. All right. So I can plug each of these points in like I did earlier. So I'm going to get that same orange index card. Sorry, that is extremely bright on this video. I don't know if it shows up that bright at home, but for me it's extremely bright. So 4, plug in the x. So my first x is -2 minus 2. So it's -8 minus 2 is -10. So the first one is -10. Y equals 4 times -1 minus 2. And again, I don't care if you use a calculator for this. I know how weak we are at working with negatives, so I understand that. If I plug in that 0, 4 times 0 is 0 minus 2. It also is my y-intercept. Usually from here I can see the pattern. It's +4, +4, +4 would be 2, +4 would be 6. But I could plug in the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, minus 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 2 is 6. All right, so let's go to graphs. I'm going to start. Remember, my B tells me where to begin, so I'm going to begin at -2. And my M tells me to move, so 4 over 1. So I'm going to go rise 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. Rise 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And if I work backwards, I can see I went down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then left 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1. It also fits in my line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1. And connect those dots. I can also see that these points now line up, so find my -2. It went to -10, good. -1 to -6, good. 0, -2, good. 1, 2, good. And 2, 6. So all of these tie together, so it's a good way of doing like a checks and balances of it. Like I worked it this way, but this gives me a second way of checking to make sure it's all lining up correctly. All right, let's look at the second one here. We have a table. So I easily can see that y-intercept is 2. Slope is my change in y over my change in x. Okay, so I can do that. Or I can go ahead and plot these points. -2, 0. -1, 1. 0, 2. 1, 3. 2, 4. There's my points. And I can see a rise of 1 and a run of 1. But I can also look at my change here. These are +1, so that's my rise over my run. So my slope is just 1, because it rose 1, ran 1. So my equation is y equals blank x plus blank. So my m is 1, and my y-intercept is 2. But we don't have to have that 1 in front of that x, so it's just x plus 2. I can check this by plugging these in. 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 2 is 3. 0 plus 2 is 2. -1 plus 2 is 1, -2 plus 2 is 0. All right, let's look at our last one, which has a graph given to us. So we can start with our points here. So -2, 6, -1, -1. I can't really tell, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. 0 is 1. 1, I can't really tell, but the 2 is 4. So man, so I'm glad that this one's our last one, because I want you to see that it didn't give us a perfect -1 or perfect 1. So we're going to have to figure out how to fill those gaps in. So let's go ahead and work this. So slope is going to be rise over run. I can see this as a negative slope. So rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it went down 5. And it ran to the right 2. So the slope of -5/2. Y-intercept is at the 1. So my equation is y equals blank x plus blank. So that slope is -5/2, while that y-intercept is 1. So now what we can do is, now that we have those, I can plug that -1 into my equation. -5/2, y equals -5/2 times -1 plus 1. So -5/2 times -1 is 5/2 plus 1 is going to be 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 or 3.5. And then if I do the same thing with my 1, -5/2 times my x, which is 1. So this is a -5.5 plus 1. By the way, that should have been a -4. I'm so sorry. Oh goodness, so negative, so this will be a -2.5 plus 1, so that's going to be a -1.5. Sorry. I'm trying to do mental math in my head. Of course, calculators are beautiful for things like this, especially if we have fractions or decimals or negatives. So I encourage you to try it by hand, but I also have no problem with you using a calculator. All right, so hopefully we can see a little bit better the connection between these three. Tomorrow, assignment is actually a 2-day assignment. Do not wait till Thursday to do it, because it is a huge assignment to do in one day. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 18 equations, 18 graphs, 18 tables. And you are going to match the graph to the table to the equation. So you're going to be working with a lot of different graphs, a lot of different tables, and a lot of different equations. And you're going to have to match those together. So please do not wait till Thursday. No, you don't have to finish it all on Wednesday. If you need to break it into pieces, then break it into pieces. But we're going to spend both Wednesday and Thursday on both of those. And then Friday, you'll have another, you'll get your vocabulary on Friday. All right, as always, if you have questions, please send them to me. I hope you have graph paper. I only had 2 of you respond to that. You need graph paper to be able to do this. I will get you some if you need some. Just let me know. I have no problem with that. I can even leave it out front so you don't even have to have contact with anybody. Just let me know. If you have any questions, send them my way. You'll have a great day. God bless.